All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the biggest one yet. This is TAPED Crusaders, and your co-host Mike Allen. As always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Disney Channel original movie, Steel.
I didn't know it was a Disney Channel original.
Felt
but
like
anyway.
it.
Oh my
Felt
goodness.
like it.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, okay. Champion.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. We opened the curtains for this one.
It's a
Yes, we
7 foot
did,
tall
yes.
one.
We want everyone to know that we're talking about Steel. So here's the thing, okay? Again, I'm reading comics every week in 97?
97?
This movie comes and goes. I do not see it. Apparently, no one saw it. It made as much movie as the value of my house. Okay, yeah, it's not. It was not a big movie. It was not a big hit. Even though Shaquille O'Neal was a huge star, this movie did not do well. Apparently, I don't know what to say about it. All I can say is that despite what I think you're both going to say, I didn't hate it, and I have a couple good things to say about it. Josh, what do you think?
It's rough.
Okay.
It felt like a mix between a Disney Channel movie and an SNL skit. Like, it just had the budget of one, too. Like,
Yeah.
the look of it, the costume is awful. Like, you want to
Yeah.
talk about rubber suits? Like, at least Batman's suit was kind of like rubber, like it's supposed to be. And
It was,
it's also,
it was supposed to be.
and it's also like shot in the dark. You can't really see it. This is like broad daylight, rubber suit. It's supposed to be steel. It's supposed to be like the hard.
It's supposed to be stainless steel.
They specifically talk about how the harder you melt, the hotter you melt it, and the harder you hit the steel, the stronger it gets. It's supposed to be the strongest thing out there.
Sure.
And every time Shaq is moving, you see like the rubber flaps of his helmet, like
Okay.
it's just
Go easy
oh.
on it. It's just a movie anyway. Ian, what did you think?
Yeah, and to pick up where Josh left off, it doesn't help that the entire movie is shot in the daytime. And
Yeah.
pretty much the entire movie. Daytime, outdoors, TV lighting, every single flaw is magnified.
Exasperating.
Right? It's and yeah, the suit is kind of ridiculous. I didn't hate it either. There are far more frustrating movies that I've seen. I wasn't engaged by it, but I wasn't irritated by it either, which was nice to not sit there
hostile.
angry, right?
Yeah.
But it was also annoying in a sense because like my phone would vibrate and I'd be like, oh, and I'd text somebody back and I missed something that happened in
And then you have to rewind
90 seconds. No, I didn't.
I
rewind
did.
it.
Anyway, okay.
But it didn't keep me engaged.
Uh-huh.
It felt like, I don't know. It was a made for TV. Was it made for TV? Because
no,
it
wasn't.
really
it was theatrical,
felt.
but it really felt made for TV.
Yeah,
I
like
agree with you
if
there.
I went and I saw that movie in a theater, I'd think that somebody made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because it just
Okay.
flat.
Yes.
Ooh.
Now here's the thing. Okay, first of all, Ian, had you ever heard of Steel before you saw this film?
No.
Okay.
No.
Josh, had you ever? Are you serious?
Well, only that Shaq has starred in a movie
Wow.
called Steel. That's
Interesting.
it,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll have you know that this character has appeared in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I believe, appeared on like Smallville. He's in Superman and Lois. He's in all of them.
Maybe I
You
have.
probably
I just
just didn't
didn't
know.
know because this movie is so ridiculous.
Yeah. So quick, the 30-second history of this character is when Superman was killed in 1993. The gimmick they came up with is that 4 other people then claimed to be the Superman returned. So there was a cyborg Superman, there was a Kryptonian like alien Superman, there was a new Superboy, and then there was Steel. And when he first appeared, he called himself the Man of Steel. Then he changed it to Steel. And the character, honestly, to me, never really clicked because when he first appeared, he had a Superman S on his chest and a red cape. Then they tried to make him more distinct from Superman by giving him a big T on his chest. And that didn't work. So then they made
Was
him
it
blue.
The Man of Tin?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why a T?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And then they made him
His name
blue.
is John Henry.
Yeah. Then they made him like
Irons.
more robotic. Then they
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
him again. Then they got rid of him and they replaced him with his daughter. The point is, and then when they did New Frontier, which is set in the 1950s, they just called him John Henry Irons, which I think works a lot better. But basically, he's based on a hero in American black slave folklore called John Henry. This guy's name is John Henry Irons, but the superhero named Steel, which is very generic because there's already a character named Steel. So I just don't think the character ever really clicked for me. That being said, this could have been a good movie, but most of it was not taken from the comics. Like the character, his name, the suit is all from the comics. Everything else is new.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to cast a 7'6" actor. Like it was so obvious.
No,
that it was
not a 7'6" actor. A 7'6" basketball player.
Sorry, basketball
Just
player.
because somebody's acting in a movie doesn't make them an actor.
That's a good point. I know that for sure. Anyway, but even when he appears on TV and they're like, he's whatever 6'7" and he's really nice, and the mother's like, wait a minute, like they could have got any actor to play this guy. Why did it have to be Shaquille O'Neal?
I don't know. I'm assuming so. Space Jam is probably why, right? Space Jam is
Good point.
95.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Ish, yeah.
So if Space Jam came before this, then I feel like Space Jam is to blame.
Okay.
Because it was a huge success. Maybe, I think. At least, like,
yeah,
with
financially,
audiences.
sure, of course.
So
Let's not forget No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan. Remember?
No.
Okay.
And
no one remembers that.
No.
Okay.
He was simultaneously the best and worst parts of this movie.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean?
He's not a good actor, that's for
No.
sure. He has appeal, but he's not a good actor.
He's got some charisma, but like dorky charisma.
Yeah.
Like almost as though you feel sorry for him for being in this movie.
Yeah.
Like he's being
Yeah.
asked to do something that he can't do, but he's
yeah.
giving it his best shot.
Yeah.
And he's not complaining, and he's
he
trying to
never-
have fun with it.
He never scores either.
He does at
Oh,
the end.
boy.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah,
oh my
all right.
God. I woke up the neighbors. I was laughing so hard at that gag.
You know what? I will admit that's pretty funny.
Okay.
Because when he's like walking through the neighborhood and they're like, "Hey, John,"
Yeah.
they throw him the basketball. I was like, "Come on."
Okay, that was
And then
funny.
When
Then
he
he does it
And then
again.
when he does it, it misses. That was actually
Sure, that was
whoever
funny.
Yeah, that was
wrote
good.
that bit, like, thank you
Yeah.
for not sinking that shot.
And thanks
because
for Shaq
I would've
for
shut it
being
off.
so like good about the joke. Because it
That's
seems
the
like he was kind of like
You know who knows out of everyone on the planet that Shaq can't sink a field goal? No one knows more than Shaq that
Right.
Shaq can't sink a field goal. The fact that he's a millionaire NBA star regardless, the fact that he's this icon, I think it makes it easier to swallow for him that he can't.
Sure, yeah. A little self-deprecation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put it this way. We've already talked about Shaquille O'Neal, but let's talk about the suit. We've talked about the suit sucks. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that, okay, what makes him unique? Now, to me, I'm not an expert on this character, but as far as I know, his hammer could not shoot at like a gun. But one of the things that made him so cool in the comics is that, to me, it's like they made him a little bit too Iron Man and not. It should have just been a guy with a really cool suit of armor. Mm-hmm. And I really think it would have been much cooler to just have a face mask. Boom, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Boba Fett, he never he never takes it off. But in this
even just
movie,
something like flat, like I don't know, something. Him, like seeing his face all the time, because then you can be like, is this a robot on the news? Right, like it's not like for sure him. It's like this weird thing.
And if it was Chrome, it'd be like Destro.
Yeah.
But it could also be, maybe you know more metals than me, Ian, but what is it called when metal has that like rough, unfinished look? Is it like steel? Anyway, I don't know.
Rust?
No, not rust, but like, you know, there's like metal, there's like chrome.
Oh, okay, like brush steel.
It's
kinda?
almost like, it doesn't look, it looks like tough and rough. Like it's almost like, not that, but it's not chrome.
Like a matte color.
Yeah, kind of like a matte.
Okay.
That's how he should look to me. But with almost like a mannequin face with featureless, no eye holes. Like that would be so cool, right?
And that would have fit a little bit better with where the suit was constructed, right? They're in this little junkyard.
That
And
exactly.
they're building this suit out of scraps, and he's just like smelting his own steel.
Yes.
I mean, the suit's gonna come out looking terrible anyway. But make it look like it's terrible and like
On purpose, on purpose, like as part of the
yeah, like not on purpose, but like that's what they're trying to do, and
Yeah.
they're not trying to make this perfect suit.
Yeah, like it's not Tony Stark Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's out of a junkyard. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Almost like a Mad Max, like thrown together a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Instead of like he's forging his own helmet. Like why are
yeah.
you?
I think giving him a hammer also kind of makes it a little bit more obvious that it's John Henry.
And his name's John Henry. I know.
Yeah,
it's a little tricky.
it's like,
you're right.
And also, like, I don't know, everything about him is he's like, I'm working for the military and developing weapons that will incapacitate people, not kill them. And then he is wielding this giant hammer that turns into a bazooka.
Yeah.
And like,
and also shoots a laser out of the hammer.
yeah. And then like, why does the hammer collect objects? Or it's also just like the remote control for his suit, because the hammer also like tonk.
I don't
connects to
understand
his
that
suit.
either.
Like,
I don't understand that.
it's so strange.
I think you're talking about the end where he tricked the
well,
other
every
guy to
active-
don't,
yeah.
don't press the red button no matter what you do on
Yeah.
my hammer. And then he'll go, okay, he presses the red button. And then it just zoomed to his suit. I think that the magnet is in the hammer. And since his suit is made of not rubber but actually metal, that's why it zoomed over.
So rather than the suit flying, okay, I get you. Yeah.
Okay, should we tell people what happens in this movie, or do we want to bother?
Do we want to bother them with that knowledge? Is that what you're...
Okay. Let's just say that basically, you guys can jump in. John Henry Irons, like you said,
Yeah.
he's in the military. He helps produce these weapons. And then what happens?
Well, he gets... the bad guy is like, we're gonna use these weapons, and I don't care if we haven't tested it before. And
he's trying to rizz up this cute senator by
Exactly.
seeing like, let's see how powerful I can make this. And then Shaq's like, no, and he ends up knocking the wall down and crushing his friend's legs.
Yeah, his partner who has the two of them have this kind of like flirty relationship with. She becomes paralyzed.
It's a Disney Channel flirty relationship.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I'd like to come back to.
Sure, we'll come back.
Yeah, but
she gets her legs crushed, and now she's in a wheelchair.
So
the rest
he
of the
quits
movie.
the military. He goes back home, and it turns out that the bad guy also gets fired instead of going to jail.
Yes.
And he gets a job at an arcade company that secretly develops weapons as well.
And he's selling weapons to gangs, basically.
Yeah.
You see, that part didn't jump out to me so much. Like, it seemed like it was an arcade. And
was like
this guy, he just came to the guy that was running the arcade and said, "Nice arcade. Do you want to sell weapons?"
Right.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
so
that he was
strange.
running the arcade. I thought that was a client of his. Was a gang, as far as I know, right? Like, that guy was a gang member, and he was a client of his.
I don't know. No, I don't think so, because he talks to him, and then they go back down into the basement, and you see them loading up guns into the arcade cabinets, and then he's like,
Okay,
"Look
so
at
it's
this
like a
cool
front.
weapon I've got."
Okay.
He's like, "All right, cool, we'll work together."
Except
So-
they don't establish the fact that the arcade is a front before he goes to talk to them, which is like they did that backwards.
Sure.
We need to know, and then he needs to learn, and then he needs to be like, "Oh, this is where I can sell these weapons."
Good point.
Not, hey, I'll just try this arcade.
There's a lot of
how convenient that you're selling weapons in the basement too.
Good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of those ideas that are kind of just half-baked. Yeah.
So the rest of the movie is basically John Henry Irons is kind of learning about the gangs involved in this area. He is trying to figure out a way to protect his brother.
It's his brother.
His brother, and then Judd Nelson, the bad guy, is trying to sell these weapons to gangs, and then later to other clients, like international clients and whoever it may be. And then basically he then ends up developing the suit to battle these guys. He appears once, then everyone knows who he is. Then he appears again. I think there's really only 2 appearances of Steel, right? Like 2 big battles. I think.
3. There's 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the first one where he's testing his suit, and then he goes back out when they're stealing the money from the bank. It's not just a bank though. It's something like
the federal. It's the Federal
Reserve, right?
But it's the L.A.
And
Is it
then-
L.A. or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the final battle at the end of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And pretty much we meet his mother. We meet his little brother.
It's like uncle or whoever. Yeah.
Which is played by. Let's talk about the actors. So we've talked about Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Okay, so the girl in the wheelchair is it Annabeth Gish or Gish?
Let me
I'm
see.
sorry, X-Files fans. You may not know this, guys. Did you know that she replaced
Annabeth Gish.
Yeah, Annabeth Gish. When David Duchovny left the X-Files, they replaced him with Robert Patrick from Terminator 2 and Annabeth Gish.
Really?
So it became like Dana Scully and then these 2 people for the last 2 seasons. I never warmed up to her. I'm not a huge fan. She was also in that horror series, the third is not Midnight Mass, the one after that. You know what I'm talking about? The Mike Flanagan super popular horror series where they're on an island and there's like a devil creature with bat wings.
No.
Okay, she's in that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? I mean, she's fine. She's fine, right?
Okay.
She did her role.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
West Wing.
Yeah. What do you think,
Halt
Ian?
and Catch Fire.
Yeah.
The fact that she was in a wheelchair the entire time was awkward.
Sure.
And it seemed to me that, I don't know, if you're going to cast somebody in that role, maybe cast an actor.
Yeah.
Who's
already disabled.
You know?
But she did have parts at the beginning where she had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
able.
1 second. You
Sure.
can use some creative camera
I
angles.
know,
whatever.
but I don't think. I mean, you don't think you have to be
You know what though?
a vampire to play a vampire.
But I
right?
think that if you're going to be preachy about it,
Sure.
you should.
What do you mean?
Like she's like, I'm not coming back. It's so awful how they set this up. So he visits her in the hospital, and he's like, "Don't worry, you'll be up and running around in no time." And the
Oh.
nurse is like,
Yeah.
So then when we catch back up with her, she has been moved to essentially like a nursing, like a veterans type home, and she's like, "I'm not coming with you." Blah blah blah. Then he just picks her up and walks out of the hospital with her, and everyone's cheering.
What, is that the part where he smashes the window?
Yeah.
That was awkward. Yeah.
And
then-
she's just screaming, "No, put me down, put me down." Yay!
And then he walks all the way over to the junkyard, smashes her down,
Yeah.
and goes, "This is where you live now." And then we have these scenes where she's dealing with being paralyzed.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be deep. She falls out of her wheelchair at some point.
Yeah.
And Shaq's like, no, don't help her.
Sure.
And they watch her like struggle to get back up. And it just feels so like
Well, okay.
wrong and preachy, especially for this movie, especially for the actress not being
Okay, but here's the thing.
you know what I mean?
The writing may not be great, but I certainly don't think we need someone who's wheelchair bound to play someone wheelchair bound. No way.
I don't think all the time, no. But I think that if you're gonna try and put a message out about somebody being in a wheelchair, it's not a bad idea. You know what I mean? I don't think that she brought anything else special to this role.
No, and that's why I don't
would
really
make
like
me
it.
want.
Yeah,
That would make
yeah.
me want to defend her.
I know.
And the decision to cast
Yeah.
her, right? So like,
Yeah. I'll give you that.
yeah,
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying like I'm offended by this or anything.
Yeah.
I'm not judging their choice of casting based solely on that. I mean, she sucked a little bit
Yeah.
at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It was a missed opportunity to do something that might have set this movie apart a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know. It was also the 90s though, so they're probably not thinking about that.
No.
kind of
Right,
thing
no.
Anyway.
Okay.
Oh.
But then we're on to
Oh.
Richard Roundtree.
Sure.
Do you know who Richard Roundtree is, everybody?
Name rings a bell.
He played Shaft in the original Shaft
Okay.
trilogy from the 70s. Shaft Goes to Africa, and Shaft's Big Score. I might have those out of order. But he also played Uncle Shaft in the Shaft remake, and he played Shaft again in the Shaft 3 remake. Okay? So he's kind of been pigeonholed, but in this movie, they made a Shaft joke. Did you notice that?
I noticed it now.
Yes. Oh, with the hammer.
Yeah.
I'm-
I really like the Shaft.
And then they look at like,
him,
wah, wah, wah. That was whatever, winking at the audience. I mean, I thought he was fine. What do you think, Ian?
He was endearing.
Yeah.
Right. He was a kindly old man.
Sure.
He didn't fit. I mean, he fit more the junkyard guy, but not so much the I can get you all this crazy tech
Sure.
kind of guy. But again, that's bad writing. His character was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think him being one of the people that like did the programming and stuff felt weird because he is just kind of like a junk like handyman, and even when he's talking about the machines, he's like, yeah, it's a Macintosh 343 thingamajiggy.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah,
500
it's got-
mega somethings.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah. I
Yeah,
hated
I was
that.
just like, I don't know. But I also think we spend not enough time with him.
Okay.
I think that we have two characters in this movie that kind of fit the same role, and that's
Sure.
the uncle and the grandma.
Yeah, you could
And
say
they
that.
have the same kind of feel about them where they're supposed to be helping and they're supposed to be this like elder mentor figure, and I think because that like screen time for that role is split between the two characters, it feels like neither of them really get any time to shine.
Maybe it's because they were setting up the TV series that was to follow, and they thought we gotta.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, it feels like a TV movie, but no.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we don't have to talk about all the actors, but we got to talk about one more actor, and that's Judd Nelson. We all know Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club. Ian, are you a fan of Judd Nelson?
I'm not a fan of Judd Nelson, but I'm familiar with him.
Okay. I mean, I think he's a really good actor. I mean, my favorite role is obviously Hot Rod, the voice of Hot Rod in Transformers the movie. But he's always been like one of those actors that, you know, all those Brat Pack actors, they never really became huge after the 80s. But I think he's really good. I think he does a good job in this role. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's a pretty good bad guy. I think it's just that this movie doesn't give him very good motivation.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like really good things to do. Even his like relationships with some of the other characters, like
when he shoots the one guy.
The guy has just been in the background this entire movie. It just feels it's not a shock. It's not like that moment of like, whoa,
sure, yeah,
this guy really is a bad guy. We're like, oh, fuck it, I don't care. I like, who is this guy? I don't even remember him. I don't know. And he has some of the weirdest lines in this movie.
Do you remember any?
Oh, yeah. You got to eat the hot dog, not be one.
Yeah, what the hell was that hot dog running joke? By the way, those hot dogs were pork.
They were pork.
You son of a...
The hell is happening? Yeah.
I was just like, what? Those were the moments where it felt like an SNL bit. Like, Like, how is this? Like, those one-liners are so bad. It doesn't even work for like the cheesy thing for this. Like,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Sure,
we'll get to a whole section on one-liners.
Okay.
What do you think of Judd Nelson?
He was okay.
Yeah.
He was sufficiently greasy.
Sure.
And I don't know, just like a obviously not trustworthy from the very first scene. He never really came across as being imposing. And
that's a good point. Or really scary.
Or really scary. Yeah, he was like a goofy villain, but he wasn't even being goofy. He didn't have that take me seriously sort of aura.
Sure.
And it's like it's interesting that Josh, you were saying about his kind of lack of any solid motivation. He had a great motivation. These weapons to sell to all of the evildoers of the world. But they booted it somehow. It's like, and even at the end he's like, you don't need our money. You could just use these weapons to steal all the money you need. And he's like, well, it's not about money. It's about power. Like, well, where's this coming from now? Now we learn this at the very, very end that no, it was confusing what his motivations were and why he was selling these weapons and why he was selling them to gangs and then he's selling them later on to terrorist organizations, presumably, because even that's not really explained.
Yeah, even the moments where they give him that are supposed to be kind of like scary and intimidating, it's kind of undermined by this. Why is this happening? Or like, how did he even have time to set this up? Like, the first time he goes over to that facility, they test out the weapon and the guy blows half his face off and they're like, but look, a corner of the face is torn off of the target. I'm like, wow, that's great. So then they go into the elevator and the girl's like, I know what you did. Like, whatever.
Oh, so and then he blows up the elevator. That was so bad. So then he
gets on the elevator and then he's like, hey, can you come out off the elevator and help me out with something? So the doors close and he's like, bye-bye. All of a sudden, he has this thing rigged up on the elevator.
I know.
It's crazy. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I know. Okay, here's the thing. As I was watching this movie about a half hour in, I was like, okay, this movie's not good, but there's something about, I don't know if it's the mechanics of the plot. It feels like, I guess the word is organized. Like, they at least had a purpose, and they knew what they were doing, kind of. And then I was like, what's the mysterious reason? Oh, and then I remembered, it's because it's written and directed by Kenneth Johnson, who created the Incredible Hulk TV show. And he's awesome. And he also created V, the greatest TV show ever made, which you should watch.
But he did also create the Steel movie. So
Ooh, yeah, true. I was on a roll there for a minute, but anyway,
he was on a roll there for a minute.
Yeah. Okay, we got to talk about like the worst. Okay, the only thing I hated about this movie, and I think the thing that really sabotaged it, is for example. They set up the whole idea of like Steel is the superhero. He's got his earbud, which by the way is a trope that I don't know where it came from, but all superhero shows use this now.
And Batman Oracle.
The whole idea, the whole Batman Oracle dynamic. Just so you know, Ian, in the comics in 1987, Batgirl was shot in the vagina by the Joker, and her spine was severed. Yeah, it's a story that kind of like ruined Batman comics for 40 years, and they're still trying to recover from it. It's written by Alan Moore. He was going through a bad mood. He was like a midlife crisis. I know, eh? And so anyway, so she became Oracle, which is a woman who's wheelchair bound, who communicates to like the Caped Crusaders through like radio, and like she's the hacker on the. She'll break through the security system and she'll give information. So that's kind of what this was inspired by. But this whole idea that even when he's in jail, he's able to talk to her. Ridiculous, but still.
Well, he kept the transceiver in his mouth.
And we know the police don't search for that stuff, right? And then when they see him talking 4 feet away, they don't question it. Like, who's this guy talking to? And the cops stand right there. But anyway, so that trope kind of works. But what I think ruins it is when they're watching him on the TV and he's supposed to be in danger, but they're still joking around. Like, oh, watch out. Oh, let's see what happens now. And it's like, no, you should be freaking out. You're not selling the idea that he's in danger. And I know, and that's the moment where I'm like, okay, this is a kid's movie. It's like a good, solid kid's movie. But because of the way that they're treating it and not, you never feel like he's in any danger. I think that is what brings it down. It's not a terrible movie, but I think that really sabotages it. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, that's a good point. The point that it's a kid's movie. Yeah. Which is something that I didn't really stop to think of at the time, but it's pretty obvious.
Sure.
When you consider everything that they had set up. The fact that he doesn't want, like he's working on non-lethal weapons. He doesn't want to kill anybody. He leaves the army to, because things go bad. I don't know. It's just a wholesome feeling movie. But it does get goofy. And some of those scenes were some of the scenes that worked the least for me. Partly for those reasons. Also because I don't care to flip back every 15, 20 seconds to see what these people have to say. Like, oh, you guys watching the movie too? That's what it felt like. It felt like they were also watching a movie.
You're totally right. That's a good point. Josh, what did you think of the quips?
I think that it being a kid's movie is a pretty poor excuse for it to be bad, because there are kids movies that are good.
Sure.
Like, it's not an excuse.
What I'm saying, what I'm saying though is that I'm not saying it excuses it, but I'm saying that that's the only explanation for how it can be so pacified. Like, he's supposed to be getting shot at. And even in the Adventures of Superman from the 1950s, there was fear. Like, they feared that they were going to die or be hurt. But in this show, Annabeth Gish is like, let's try this trick. And it just seems like, what is he doing? Like, is he scuba diving, or is he getting shot at by gangs? You know what I mean? Like, there's no sense of danger or fear that his life is in any, is being risked doing what he's doing. And I think that sabotaged it. Because it's like I said, the mechanics of the plot are all there, but it's almost like they were like, you know what? Who cares? It's just a kid's movie. We're not going to take it seriously. That's what I feel like happened.
But even when they tried to put his life in danger, it still didn't work. Like these scenes where he's riding this motorcycle that he found.
Oh God, I know.
And
I know.
We have like an 18-minute sequence where it's like, you got to make the lights green for me. Oh, the light's still red. The light's still red.
And
the next light's still red.
He uses that laser to shoot. Was it oil?
Water.
And then it makes the cops
a little spray of water.
So bad.
He just slips on his motorcycle.
And then remember when the cops tell him to freeze, and then he puts his thing.
Put your hands up. Put them way up.
And then grappling gun, and then the most awkward slow motion ascend into.
You did tell him to put his hands up.
I guess they were high up or whatever. That was so bad. Oh my God.
When I used that grappling hook, my heart nearly dropped. Well, mine nearly stopped. stop. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was bad.
What is happening?
I know. That's what I mean. Yeah,
Oh my
like,
God.
what is happening here? There was a lot of moments like that. Like you're just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, more one-liners. Give us some more, Josh. You remember any?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got one. I got one.
A moment. Go ahead.
All right. When somebody was sneaking up behind him, and what's her name again? Doesn't matter.
Annabeth Gish.
Annabeth Gish is like, "You be my leg man, and I'll be your eyes."
Yeah, that was
Like,
weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. You really got used to your disability pretty quick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Making jokes about it already,
man.
are you?
But okay, this is not a one-liner, but what was that scene? Remember where he was like, wait, I don't remember the setup, but it was something like, there's one thing that they don't have. What? And then it just cuts to her like looking at his finger. It is so awkward. You remember that? Like, what the hell is this? Like, just bizarre.
Yeah.
But there were moments in the movie where I don't remember what they were, but I screamed laughing.
When the uncle says, "Well, cover me in shit and roll me in cornflakes."
Yeah, you're like, what? And like, that sounds like one of Grandma's recipes or whatever. Like, what is going on here? This is crazy.
Oh, that's another running joke with the souffle.
Sure.
And everything
you
got to be quiet in Grandma's house.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah,
And the fact that they were just so intent on running with this joke that we'd have an entire scene 3/4 of the way through the movie where Shaq and his grandma are having a serious conversation, but they're having it like this.
Yeah.
You know what,
And
though?
this is serious information, but we can't risk the souffle for some reason.
I don't know why that. I was annoyed by it the whole movie.
Sure.
For some reason, I was kind of endeared to it.
Sure.
When they're talking quietly in the kitchen and they're having like a serious
it was
talk,
it
heart to
wasn't-
heart. And I'm like, wait, the scene is kind of working for me. And then all of a sudden,
SWAT team?
the fucking
I
SWAT
know,
shows up
smashes through the
and
kitchen.
bursts through the windows. And of course, the first SWAT guy comes out and he hits the stove and the stove flops open and then the tray.
I know.
Oh no, my
Yeah, I
souffle! I was
What
like, are
the
you
heck
kidding me?
is
Like,
happening?
First thing
I
I'd be
know.
worried about. Not my window.
Jeez, yeah.
That was badly done. And then again, they pull the guns on him, or then he throws one guy on the table. They pull the guns on him, and then he takes the thing out of his ear, puts it in his mouth, and they don't notice that somehow. Again, he uses it in the jail. That doesn't make sense. And then there's the whole bit about, remember how he gets out of jail? When Annabeth Gish disguises her voice as the mayor's and gives the order to release him from jail. That whole thing was...
Oh, I must have turned away for 30 seconds.
No, yeah, you missed it. No, trust me.
Yeah, they have some sort of voice technology.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they turn his voice into Arnold
Schwarzenegger's
Schwarzenegger's
Oh,
voice
God,
again.
that was
Which
terrible. That was garbage.
it was terrible, but that was so terrible that it crossed over onto
Is it
like,
good?
this is actually kind of funny.
Okay.
I think at that point, it was like the last thing in the movie, and I was just like, thank God this movie is done.
Yeah. There's a lot of jokes. Like there's one part where they go something like, "Oh, where did he go? The Batcave?" And then they roll their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
There's another reference to Superman. You know, you're not Superman. There's probably a couple other references I'm forgetting, but it was just.
His little brother's like, "Oh my God, you're
could be
Steel. I could be
Robin."
Robin. I could be
Yeah.
whatever."
It just felt very. Ugh. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Kenneth Johnson, but this is 20 years after the Hulk, so he's kind of like in his George Lucas Phantom Menace stage. He's doing movies for his kids, probably. I'm assuming. I don't know, but he got the job because he did Hulk and Bionic Woman and all that stuff and Alien Nation. But this movie, it bombed badly. In fact, it had the record for the biggest box office percentage drop in superhero movie history until the Marvels. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It was 78% drop off from week 1 to week 2.
Oh,
That's how bad it
damn.
was. Yeah.
Wow.
It made under $1 million like in its first week. Something crazy. Yeah.
That's
Sad.
embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as though they had a huge budget or anything.
No, clearly. Like, okay, let's be clear.
Let's see.
This felt like a TV movie. Like everything about it felt like a TV movie. I mean, even the credits, like the way it was like.
The budget was $16 million.
My
sad.
goodness.
Wow.
The box office, is only $1.7 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There's houses in LaSalle
That's
cheaper
what I mean.
than that.
Yeah, there's exactly.
More expensive than that.
That's shocking.
That's crazy.
Again, it's also shocking because Shaquille O'Neal was in it. Like you think that at least his name alone would.
Well, that accounts for the opening weekend.
There you go. Yeah. And
Everything
then
else is
word of mouth. Yeah.
But it's also the sort of movie that I defy anyone to cut a trailer based on this footage to
Right,
bring anyone out. How are you going to bring anyone out for this movie?
Yeah.
Just a static shot of Shaquille O'Neal being like, this guy's in a movie. We're not going to tell you anything about it.
It's just an interview of him
It's
being
in
like, come to
theater
my new
4,
movie.
and it's 7:00. Just come, show up.
You know, I've started to really pay attention to not only posters, but like the way that, you know, a movie should have a really good opening image or scene. And so many of these crappy movies we're watching just start out bad. Like this movie, didn't it open
The
with like
still
shots
images of like the molten metal.
Yeah, it's just like
stock,
and it's just
stock
like
footage of
yeah, just
Foundry.
like bad, just like weak.
So much of this
Weak.
movie is weak like that.
Yeah. It just felt like an assignment. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're in charge of directing. You're in charge of act. You know, okay, fine. We'll get the shot list.
So I've got a question for you guys. Why do you think that at the end of the movie they didn't kiss, or they didn't have some sort of
That's a good point.
romantic moment or resolution?
A couple of reasons. Disney Channel movie.
Sure.
You don't want to have any sort of sexual anything.
Okay.
Second of all, 1990s.
Uh-huh.
Are we ready for interracial kiss at the end of a movie?
In the late
90s? I think
I don't know.
we would be.
97,
I
I
don't know.
feel like.
I think Kirk and
yeah.
Uhura had already broken
it's-
the barriers.
Sure, but I mean, I could even imagine the reception of that sort of thing now. You're going to have people that are
Yeah.
freaking out about
Okay.
it.
That could be.
So to counter your Disney Channel thing,
Mm-hmm.
we have another love interest that's introduced halfway through this movie that also gets harmed and we never see again.
Who's
the
that?
cop that they go on the call with. Like, Shaq's in the front seat with her. She's driving them around, and the brother's in the back.
Yes.
And then they drive by the
And there's
arcade.
a little like innuendo, kind of. Yeah.
The
flirting.
innuendo is very obvious. She goes, "Do you remember the last time we were in a car together?"
Yes.
And Shaq was like, "Not in front of the
Yeah.
kid."
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So if you're gonna have that joke, you can have a kiss at the end of the movie,
Okay,
like,
all
or
right.
some sort of like
Sure.
romantic moment. It was so awful.
I don't remember that scene at all. I do remember the aftermath where the car
it
gets
was like
flipped
very
over.
quick, but she was like, "Remember the last time we were in a car together?" And he was like, "Not right now."
okay,
Here's the thing,
take it back. They could have kissed.
I think we have to point out the fact that the person that spearheaded this film actually just died this week. Quincy
you're
Jones.
right.
Oh yeah.
He spearheaded this film.
I was going to ask what his involvement was.
I think he produced it.
Yeah.
I think this was like somebody went, okay, look, there's a black superhero. We got to get him out there. Who's going to play him? And they wanted, what's his name? Wesley Snipes.
Michael
I think
Jordan?
To play him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, Wesley Snipes. And I think Shaquille O'Neal, they wanted to get him to play a character called Hardware from, do you remember Milestone Comics?
No.
Okay. And he's like, no, I want to play Steel. So these were comic fans, these were superhero fans, and then they went, we need a director. So then they got Kenneth Johnson. I think it was kind of like everything was kind of mismatched, right? It was just a lot
Sort
of
of did it backwards kind of thing.
kind of, and maybe like not the right collaborators working together. Like again, like the guys who played the gangsters, they were fairly good actors, I thought. Like when he goes into the pool hall and there's all those guys surrounding him, I thought all the actors were okay. It's just like it's like you have good actors and you place them in a Disney Channel, like Saved by the Bell lighting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like everything looked like just pink and green and
Yeah.
weird and I don't know, right? It was like a Disney Channel view of the
Right.
hood, basically, right? Like,
Yeah.
just didn't quite work for me. I don't know, but not the worst movie we've reviewed, right?
No, by far not the worst. Still not good.
Still not good.
Any movie
Yeah.
with Charles Napier in it is gonna
Is gonna
beat
work
this.
for me. Yeah.
It's gonna work for me because he was in this one.
He what? So what?
Yeah, he was like the army colonel.
That's Charles. Oh, I'm thinking of Alan Napier. I'm thinking of Alan Napier who played Alfred in the Batman TV series.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the guy. Yeah, I know who you mean. Because his face is so distinct that when he voiced an actor, a character on the Superman cartoon, they just drew his face. Because it's like, no, he has to just be this guy. But anyway, yeah, he's a cool actor. He's fine. He's good. I mean, we could talk about every actor in the movie, but we don't need to.
No.
So, okay, here's the final question. Do we recommend this film? Josh?
No. What are we doing here? I'm not recommending this movie to anybody. Like, no. Sorry.
Champion.
There's a lot better movies out there. It's only 90 minutes long ish, so it's not a total waste of time. It's not going to make you angry.
There
but
you go.
If that's your bar, look for something else. Look for something else starring Shaq. I don't know. Like watch Space Jam.
Is he in that?
Is he?
I don't think he is.
think so,
no, I don't think he was around then.
Oh, okay. As you mentioned Space Jam,
Yeah.
I've never seen more
That's
than
Michael
5 minutes
Jordan.
of it.
Yeah,
I know that Jordan's in
yeah.
it, but
Which is also not a great
So here's the
movie.
thing. I'm going to recommend it to Kenneth Johnson completists. So if you've seen...
so you're recommending it to yourself, and
Yeah,
that's about it.
Bionic Woman, Incredible Hulk, Alien Nation, and now you got to watch this, okay? And then you'll see pretty much everything. So there you go. I don't know what else to say. Again, this is in between Batman and Batman. This is like a movie. Why did DC put the? Why of all the DC superheroes?
It's frustrating to watch these movies and to know that everyone involved with this movie knows that Batman exists.
Right.
I know.
And has probably seen that movie at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Right?
This
And
is-
you still, this is the result. Like,
Yeah.
let's send it. We're
Yeah,
done.
you're right.
It's not even
Another
as good
hit.
as the bad Batman movies.
No. Oh no.
You know, like
no.
even Batman and Robin has redeeming qualities
Sure.
about it.
Yes.
It's watchable.
Well, clearly this. I mean, the budget is one aspect of this that they can't
Yeah.
overcome. But anyway, okay, I didn't hate it. Kenneth Johnson's awesome. I'm not going to say anything bad about him ever. Not as bad as I thought it would be. I didn't hate it, so I'll give it that. Other than that, it's going to be a long time before we see another good DC film. That's all I'm going to say. We want to thank Champion for having us every week, except for the last 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, we've still been here
We've
doing
still been
this.
here.
Yeah.
But for showing movies every week, except for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But Movie Night is coming back very soon. Be sure to join us for our Halloween special.
What's the date today? November
Yeah,
14th?
Something like that. But yeah, we'll be back soon for Uniplex. And that's about it. So thanks, Champion. And
Thank you.
Josh, you can take it from here.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff over on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. You can also find all of our video format podcasts on our YouTube channel. So leave us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about Steel, and keep in touch.
All right, until the next time, see you later. Bye.